What is up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode number 103 of the Millennial Gaming Speak podcast. I am your host, Logan Moore, for the week of July 30th. And with me, as always, today is none other than Max Roberts, who was not, as always, with us last week. Yeah.
Yeah,
Max,
that thing.
welcome back.
I'm back. Hi, how's it going?
Good. I'm not too shabby. How are you?
Doing well. I've not played a lot of video games, but that's normal.
Oh, that's very normal. Yeah,
it's normal for a video game podcast to not play a lot of video games.
Yeah, that's pretty typical. So, last week we just couldn't schedule things properly.
We had a scheduling snafu, as they say.
Yeah, Michael and I did an emergency podcast for 102, which you can go listen to last week. I also said that a guest might be on the show this week. That did not happen. We will get some... We're trying to get... There's a couple people I want to get on here that we will be doing in the future. But I'm about to take a podcasting sabbatical. So maybe after...
He's going on a walkabout like Murray in Sly Cooper 3.
Yeah, we'll figure that stuff all out once we get a couple other things out of the way. But just a normal show this week. We are going to be doing topics and questions in the second half of the show, of which we have a couple to go through. But other than that, Max, what's been up with you? You said you're not playing anything, but...
No, I haven't played very much.
I guess nothing much new, at least.
Nothing much new.
Horizon. So,
I beat Horizon today. Pretty easy ending as far as like...
Did you get the armor?
Yeah, I got the armor, yeah.
Yeah, you practically can't get touched on the at the end of the game if you get that special armor then.
Oh yeah, it was a piece of cake. It was a cakewalk.
Which makes me think that they should probably outlaw it for the DLC, like if that's possible. Like otherwise it's just going to be a juggernaut walking through that.
Wow. It's it was cool. The cliffhanger at the end has me interested because it focused it. The cliffhanger was all about the narrative beats that I particularly cared about, which is about the civilization before in the game. And so I guess I'm going to get Horizon Zero Dawn 2 or Horizon Zero 1. What would the sequel be called? Yeah, Horizon Zero Afternoon? Dusk?
Yeah, I guess. It's Zero Dawn, I guess, is the subtitle, isn't it? So
yeah.
It would just be Horizon 2 : something. I don't know what
yeah,
that
probably.
Would be,
I'm sure I'll get it because the stuff with Silence and the history of that world really were my favorite parts. So I guess I'll get the sequel because that's what it'll be about. Hopefully. I'm glad it's over. I'm 56% on the trophies. I just have to finish collectibles and do all the side quests.
Are you gonna actually do it?
Probably not. I'll probably just go play something else. Usually
it's not that hard. Like if you've done the story stuff and you've got the armor, and you already told me that you have most of the collectibles already, right?
I have basically 2 of each left.
Then that's pretty simple. Like you could knock that out within 30, 45 minutes, an hour, something like that. Like when I was doing the collectibles, and what I do in most games when I just start trophy grinding is put in some headphones, listen to a podcast, and just knock out that stuff or something. I mean, knock out that easy stuff that I really don't need to pay attention for. So like now that you've got the narrative out of the way, like you could probably clean up the rest of it.
And all the side quests are pretty much just fetch quests, so
yeah. And then you did you do the lodge stuff?
Yep. I did the lodge stuff per your recommendation.
Did you do the 3 stars on everything or whatever? Or the 3 medals or suns?
Not on everything yet. I think I have one more set to go finish.
Did you end up liking them more, or did you still hate it? Because I thought those were fun. I thought those were engaging little things where I was screwing up, but I was like, oh, okay, I want to get better. I almost had it that time.
Some of them, some were super easy. Some I thought were a little too broken. There's one where it's get 3 of the crab enemies' crates off their back in a minute, and they're spread out across this super wide area. I was like...
The hardest part is just learning where they all are on that
you
one.
just have to learn where they all are, and just get your hard knock arrows and just
yeah, because once I figured out where they were, I think I did it in like 25 seconds or something like that.
You just have to push.
It's just the process of figuring out where they spawn, because that's the other thing too, is that they don't spawn until you start the challenge.
Yep.
So once you have to do it like 3 or 4 or 5 times and just learn where they all are, and then it's pretty simple after that. There's a stealth one in that same area that I found to be super hard. It was really annoying.
Kill the Watchers? That stealth one?
You had to kill like 4 or 5 of them in stealth. That one was hard. I thought that was
found
actually
that one easier than the crab one. Shellwalker,
that's good.
That's their name. It was fine. The Red Maw quest was just find this big... I was hoping he would have a different design, like he would be a different type of Thunderjaw, but really it's just a Thunderjaw with a bunch of arrows in him. I was like, you're not any different or special. It was the same type of fight. It didn't change it up at all. So I was kind of...
I still enjoyed that whole portion of the game, and I enjoyed the douchey lodge leader.
Oh, he was the worst.
Trying to overthrow his rule and stuff like that. Yeah. I thought it was a compelling little side tangent.
It's definitely
a couple hours on.
Probably the meatiest side quest in the game.
Mm-hmm. That's why I definitely pushed you to do it, because I thought it was one of the most fleshed out side portions of the game. So for you to miss out on that, I thought was missing a sizable part of the game, or at least like one of its narrative elements outside of the main story. So that was... At least you did that.
Yeah, it's a good game. I like it. Will I platinum it? I guess I gotta be in the group, because if I jump into Wolfenstein or Mordor or Doom... It really
sounds like you're almost done. Like, it sounds like you're very close. And I know some of those
I just have, like,
collectible ones are silver and gold trophies as well, if I'm right.
Yeah, but platinum's all that matters. And, like, I could do it. I have 5 more levels till 50. I have to get all the collectibles.
You didn't even hit 50?
No, I'm 45.
Dang, I maxed out like 10 or 12, 15 hours before I ever even beat the game.
No, I've played a total of 44 hours. I'm level 45.
I played about 44 hours and I got the plat.
Yeah, I still... So let's see. I've got the collectibles. I got to get all the Blazing Suns. I haven't killed every type of machine yet.
You haven't?
No, there's one... I haven't killed transporter machines or something. So I gotta kill whatever's left in transporters.
Have you knocked down all of the tribal deer statue things?
No, I haven't done that. I haven't done all...
That's actually very easy if you follow a YouTube guide. Like,
I'm sure.
There's spawn points, or there's fast travel points near pretty much all of them. So you can knock it out really quickly.
I need to free all the... What are they called? The little towns that are captured by the bad guys. I have to liberate the towns.
Oh, yeah. That's my least favorite part of the game. Now, if you want to talk about something I don't like, it's fighting humans in the game. That's never fun.
Yeah, which was half of the final battle was fighting the human. I was like, this is Uncharted 2's boss battle all over again.
You get to that one river where it's just endless machines charging on you, which is kind of fun.
That was cool. Then... So do that, and then corrupted zones. I think I have like 1 or 2 corrupted zones left. Okay. So really not a lot. It's really just menial task.
Yeah, you could probably knock it out in 2.
I could do it in an afternoon, evening. Yeah. The question is, do I want to?
If you're burnt with it, move on. That's what I did with Final Fantasy 15, because I was like, yeah, I'm totally going to get the platinum, and then I beat that game. I was like, I am out.
I'm going to get that platinum.
See you later, Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah, we'll see how it all shakes out. But... all in all, good game. Interested narratively in the sequel. Hopefully, I really think Guerrilla did a great job of laying the foundation of a really great open world franchise, and now I want them to push open world and their design and mechanics and stuff, make it a little more layered and nuanced in the sequel.
How so? Like, what are the things that you found missing?
I would love more rich side quests, kind of like the Lodge. I feel like a majority of these side quests are fetch quest. Go here, kill this, bring this back. Go here, flip this switch, come back.
I still think that's a problem with open world games as a whole. Like,
it really,
as much as Zelda
has those problems too. The side quests in Zelda are go do this and do that. I find navigating the world in Zelda more interesting in Horizon. I fast traveled in Horizon after I found all the long necks or whatever and got all the caverns. I was like, all right, time to just fast travel everywhere because I was done with that. But Zelda, I didn't mind that as much. So I would love for them to push that. I think they really could too, because they have, I mean, that main narrative was so interesting. I'm sure they can make smaller ones just as engaging and enriching that build on that world.
Yeah, they've got a great world. They've got a great, they've got some great characters there too that I really enjoy. And I've mentioned it before, but I like how the different factions interact with one another. Like they've got a lot of layered things happening within that.
And I want them to explore those and build on them some more.
Looks like they will. And that's why I'm
do.
hoping they don't. I hope they uncover something bigger than just what has happened with, like, I'd like to see them leave that little valley or that area.
The Sacred Land, yeah.
Yeah, where that game takes place and kind of move on.
Because the whole world, the whole world is like this. There are other pods and things, so.
And I'm curious I'm wondering like what the rest of the world is like. Like, is everybody dead, or because most of the scientists hold up in that one area because they were developing the Zero Dawn program thing, whatever. I forget what it's called. I mean, they were all developing that, so it makes sense for like a decent amount of people to be in that area. But I'm wondering what happened to the rest of the world. So, and I don't know how they will push that into other areas, but we'll have to see what they do.
I don't
know. I like the ending though, where Aloy finds the grave of what's her face. Like, I thought that was good for her wrap up for her personal story throughout that game.
The other thing I would hope they improve on and is somehow to create the desire to use other weapons. I felt like I just wanted to use the bow, and I only used the other ones when I had to. I would like some weapon diversity that at least draws me in and makes me want to use other stuff. I just didn't feel like I wanted to use anything else.
I agree that I used the bow probably 75% of the time. But it really depended on the enemy I was fighting at the same time. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I use the sling quite a bit in the game, and I also use the tripcaster quite a bit too. And the other thing too is like you can switch weapons like incredibly fast in that game.
Oh, so yeah, it's nice.
I was not being shy about switching my weapons when I felt like I needed to. So that was cool with me. But yeah,
just more engaging weapons. Something that like I want to go out and use something new and exciting or whatever.
Yeah, I think some of that could have been just how you decided to play the game personally, but
maybe.
Yeah, I mean, more weapons is never a bad thing in any sequel. Overall, they hit a lot of, for like you said, for being an open world game by
for the first time. Yeah, for the first time, they did really well.
Not only that, but the engine they developed with that game is freaking amazing. Like, so much so that Hideo Kojima is now using it. Like, they did so many like landmark things with that game, and they knocked it out of the park. I think 10 times more than I expected them to. Like, that game is going to have a lasting impression on not only maybe the open world genre, but also future Sony products. Because I really think they're going to use that engine so much in house now at Sony. Like, they've really done an amazing job at Guerrilla, which is not something I don't think any of us would have expected coming into this game. I know I certainly didn't.
Yeah. So I beat that game, which we've kind of talked about for the past like 3 weeks now, but I finally beat it, so that's done. I've been playing Splatoon 2,
which we both bought, of course, even though we said we shouldn't.
Yep, but man, I'm having a lot of fun with that game. I don't know how much you've been playing it, but like
I played it that one night with you. That's all I've done, really.
I love it. I'll just hop in, play a few matches. I just having a lot of fun with it. It has problems, especially as an online multiplayer game, but it's fun. I'm having a lot of fun with it.
That's the thing too, is like, because you and I never really played the original, and I know you've said you have at your friend's house and stuff like that, but I think this is like a little bit more of a fresher experience for you and I, just because we haven't played it before. So that's fun for us, dipping our toe into the ink for the first time and really learning the ins and outs of the game. It's a fun little game to go to, and I think that's why I talked about it last week, but that's why I bought it. Is I just wanted to have something on my Switch that I could bounce in and out of whenever I play whenever I want to, and that's what I've done with Mario Kart over the past month or so that I've owned that. Like, whenever I feel like just playing something in bed or whatever, like I'll hop into that, and I'm gonna probably do the same thing with Splatoon. Like, I may not play tons of Splatoon like over the course of the next week or something like that, but I bet the amount that I play that game over the course of the Switch's life cycle will be pretty substantial. Like, I can see myself hopping in and out of that game consistently as long as I own the Switch. So yeah, that's why I bought it. It's
a blast. I love the music. I love the design. I love character customization. Like, it's just a ton of fun. And it's great.
We need to play Salmon Run soon.
Yeah, I played for the first time the other day with some randoms.
Fun, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
You, me, Mario, and Grant actually bought it as a Friday, but Grant's been out of town all weekend. We'll
have to look at the
Salmon Run.
We'll have to look at the Salmon Run schedule and pick a time to play.
You can do private at any point in time.
Online?
Yes, you can do. As long as you have friends, you can play it whenever. So we need to figure out how to do that.
I thought it was local only.
That's the one thing I hate. I wish that game had a real menu. I really do. Like, I like the open areas, but I'm so confused as to what everything is. And I know they've got a map that shows you and tells you what it is and stuff like that, but
you'll get used to it real quick.
You can only match make at certain times. You can, if you have a group of people, you can play it whenever.
Okay.
And if you didn't, then holy crap, that game.
You gotta wait for a certain time.
Yeah, you gotta wait for a certain time to play with your friends. That'd be insane. No, you can do it with your friends whenever though. So we'll all have to hook up at some point throughout this week.
Well, let's pick a night or something and play. Maybe even tonight after Game of Thrones.
Possibly, yeah. I need to finish Better Call Saul at some point.
It's true.
Which is actually, I'm very glad I did that because I was about to jump into some other games, and then I was skimming through my TV last night, and I was like, I have never watched this, and so plowed through Better Call Saul really quickly.
Yeah, 2 episodes. That's good. I think that's all I've been playing.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, that's that's it. What about you, Mister? Played 30 different video games this weekend?
Yeah, that's been fun. I'll be honest. Like, I haven't played a ton. I don't have as much time anymore. Like, between my job and then all of our podcast stuff, and then DualShockers, like, I'm pretty freaking busy throughout the week. So on Saturday for like the past month or 6 weeks, I've just been going crazy. Saturdays I play from the time I wake up until late in the evenings, and I've been doing this for a while.
It sounds so much fun.
It's nice to not have anything to do. I wake up and I make some coffee, or there's some coffee already made, and I just kick on my PlayStation and go. So throughout the week, though, I played a lot of Mario Kart. I got 3 stars on all 150cc courses. I'm working on doing it for mirror mode now, but that's something I just keep jumping in and out of periodically. Like I said, Splatoon, played a little bit of. Have you played the campaign at all yet? Because
I'm in the third world, I guess you would call it. Third area.
I'm gonna test that out at some point soon and see how that is, because I've heard better things about it than I would expect from a Splatoon campaign. So I'm going to give that a run through. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. I'll probably just play it on the Switch itself.
It's a lot of fun. It got great writing. Buckle up for puns.
Yeah, that's one of the staples of that game. So yeah, I'm gonna test that out, and we'll see how that goes, and maybe give some feedback next week. As far as the big game I've been playing lately, I'm still in Nier Automata. I finished ending A Thursday, and it was good. Here's the thing with that game though, is that, and I looked it up after I beat ending A, because I kind of wanted a roadmap of where to look like moving forward. Like, okay, there's 26 endings of this game. How exactly does that shake down? Endings A through D may as well just be the main story. Like, that is all one continuation. Like, even when the credits rolled on ending A for me, it really didn't feel like an ending. It was just like, this isn't done. This is like a middle portion of like what would be any other game. This is just like a middle, like story element or a story beat, except it ended on that. And I was like, okay, I'm understanding. So it's really bad to even call them endings or playthroughs, because A through D really feed directly into one another. The others, I think A through E are like actual endings or whatever. And then all of the other ones are practically jokes. Like if you do certain things within the game world, it's like you lost. It's kind of like, do you remember in Metal Gear Solid 3, if you shoot Revolver Ocelot, it's like time paradox and like the game just
over.
Yeah, it's stuff like that. Like if you do something stupid that you're not supposed to do, like your main character in the game 2B, she has there's like chipsets you can install on your character, and that's like one of the ways you level up your character. And there's like a certain amount of slots that you can plug chips into to like give your character new abilities.
That sounds like Mega Man Battle Network.
There's one chip that you always need to have plugged in though, and it's like your main operating system. You can unplug that though, and the game just ends. It's like game over. You've achieved ending whatever. It's C or not C, like S.
Like
congratulations.
Like
it's
the
stuff like that.
Secret ending in Inside, where if you find all the little orbs, you like you can unplug it and the game just restarts.
Kind of, except it's like you're just unplugging your brain from your character. And you just like you turn off. So it's kind of like that, and that's considered an ending. So honestly, there's only like 5 real endings, and like I said, they really feed together with one another.
Yeah.
So I'm knowing that now. It sounds so much more daunting from the outside to say there's 26 endings of this game.
Exactly.
Reality,
that
like,
I got in a discussion on Twitter about this. Someone brought it up and was saying that really shouldn't be called playthroughs because of the reason you were saying. I was like, really? I didn't know that about that game. It sounded like I had to beat the game, start it over, start to finish 26 different times. I was like, that sounds daunting. Like I don't want anything to do with that. And we had a discussion about it like normal people.
Now that I'm understanding how the game works and how it in that regard, like that is a really, really bad way to pitch
it. So why is everyone talking about it? Like it has all these different endings and playthroughs.
Because it technically is. Even when you go back to your save, your save file or whatever, it'll say endings achieved or playthroughs achieved, and it'll list like all the letters of the endings that you've done so far.
That's probably been the most
so it's just
damaging messaging for me as a consumer when I hear or read about that game.
Here's the thing: is they are endings. The credits do roll every time you do one of those. When you do one of like the jokey ones, though, the credits just shoot by really fast and it kicks you back to the main.
That's
menu.
pretty funny.
And you're like, you can tell it's a joke. Most like I said, like 20 of the endings in that game though are total jokes, and you can complete them really quickly. The rest are the ones that actually feed into each other, and that's what I've started to understand. So ending A is cool. Something happens at the end of it that kind of I'm interested to see what happens with B. That game is still doing some really cool things. I just needed a break from it though, so I finished that on Thursday, and then yesterday, so Saturday, my big gaming day, I decided to play some smaller things. Pyre came out last week. I have been so excited for Pyre for such a long time. I really enjoy Supergiant's games. Supergiant Games is games.
They've made Bastion, Transistor, and now Pyre?
Now Pyre, yeah. So that's their 3 games.
I always get them mixed up with Cappy.
Cappy is below.
That's what they're getting ready to put out.
I'm getting ready in very loose quotes, yeah. Because that's been like, we didn't even see or hear from that at E3 this year, which was so strange. But yeah, Supergiant is Bastion, Transition, and Pyre. I've been looking forward to Pyre like all year, so I'm really excited for that. But as soon as Pyre came out, I was like, I feel really bad because I never beat Transistor, and that has been like on my backlog or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
The list of games in my phone that I never beat that I wanted to go back to one day, that one's been sitting there for like 3 years. So, and I know it's a short game. It's like 4 or 5 hours. And I was like, okay, can play Transistor. So I re-downloaded that yesterday. I've actually been re-downloading like a ton of games now that I have a terabyte of storage on my PS4 Pro.
Yeah, you are.
Just to have them there.
Yep.
So I re-downloaded Transistor yesterday, and I started it up, and I had it beat by the afternoon. That game's awesome. That game is freaking fantastic. The combat, the one thing the first time I played it or tried to get into it, the combat was just not clicking with me at all in any way. I thought the writing was good. I thought the story was good, but the combat wasn't clicking with me. This time, I really enjoyed the combat. And I don't know if you've played the game, but it's got
I have not.
It's got some very unique, almost turn-based to a degree type of combat, except it's all real time. I've never seen anything like it. You'd have to see it for yourself.
I've seen video of it. I was very interested in the game and got it when it was free on PS Plus, I think.
Yeah. It's got a very unique combat system, and there's a lot of different abilities within the game that you can really, really play around with at your leisure and come up with some really interesting combinations of abilities and attacks to use on other enemies. I played it, in one sitting though, and that game is so good. Like, I am so happy that I went back to it. The ending is really powerful. The soundtrack is fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed my time with Transistor, and that was a nice one that I was glad that I made time for this week to go back to, despite having 1,000 other games that have come out more recently that I've been wanting to get to. Going back to that was really, really satisfying. I highly encourage you to check it out. So I'm going to get Pyre at some point. I don't know when, because there's so many other things out. I kind of just want to buy it now, because I've been sold on Pyre for 6, 7, 8 months, I guess, at this point. Since I played it at PSX, like that was like Nex Machina and Pyre were my two favorite things I played at PSX. So I'm like, if I cave and purchase Pyre before the next show, don't be shocked.
I won't. I'm never shocked when you just buy a game.
So that's something I really want to dive into soon, but I haven't. Instead, yesterday though, I decided to purchase Snake Pass, What Remains of Edith Finch, and Cosmic Star Heroine. Snake Pass I want to try at some point.
Did you buy Snake Pass on PS4?
Yeah, it was $10. I didn't think that was bad. So that was $10. Cosmic Star Heroine was like $7, and then What Remains of Edith Finch was $15. And I almost bought What Remains of Edith Finch at launch. Like, that was the one for sure yesterday I was going to get. And then I decided what the heck and purchased Snake Pass and Cosmic Star as well. So I don't know when I'll get to the latter two, but What Remains of Edith Finch is honestly the next thing on my list I'm going to play. And I was actually going to start it last night, but before I left my house to go get dinner after finishing Transistor, I was like, Giant Sparrow never beat the Unfinished Swan. I was like, let's just make this a day of going back to games that I tried to play before but never could get into.
More like the unfinished backlog.
Yeah. So I downloaded the Unfinished Swan, and I got home last night, and I decided to play that instead of jumping into What Remains of Edith Finch. And I enjoyed my time with it. I told you before we started that it's very cute. Yeah, a lot of the things it does early on, I didn't really like the painting the blank white world and doing that for the first 15-20 minutes. I did not like that. But once they added some depth and some actual outlines of structure and color to the world, and then they expanded on those painting mechanics, I really started to enjoy it, and it really started to click with me. And I really started to get way more invested in the story in the latter half of the game, because early on it was just like, why are you telling me about this king dude? I don't care about this guy. And then but yeah, as you move forward, you start to get invested in the story. It's a really cute game. I enjoyed it a lot. In the last part of the game, like with the King's Dream and stuff like that, that's a really cool sequence. I like how that all worked. Mm-hmm. It's a good game. I enjoyed it. And I'm glad that I went back and also finished that one and knocked that off the list, because finished 2 games from 2 studios that I like, but I just never beat their games for some reason. So that was nice to knock both of those out yesterday.
Do you ever play?
I'm going to jump into.
Do you ever play Gone Home?
Go ahead.
Gone Home? You ever play that one?
Which one? I'm sorry. You broke up for a second.
Gone Home?
Oh, yeah, I played Gone Home.
Okay, because I know Tacoma's coming out soon.
Yeah, Tacoma comes out Tuesday. So, yeah. Or Wednesday, potentially. Yeah, one of those days. Yeah, I played Gone Home, so that's all done. I'll probably play Tacoma at some point. I don't know when. I might wait on that one. But yeah, next up is going to be What Remains of Edith Finch. I'm going to hop into that relatively soon.
Let me know how that one is, because I was worried about that game going into its launch.
I've heard nothing but fantastic things. Michael played it yesterday as well, and he sounded like he enjoyed it. Reviews were nothing but positive. I've had more than one person this year that I know tell me that it's like in their top 3 or top 5 of the year. So I'm really interested and looking forward to playing that one. Maybe I'll pull a long night tonight and play it or something like that once Game of Thrones is over.
After Salmon Run.
I want to play that game in one sitting, so I'm trying to clear out some time because I know it's only like 3 hours or so.
Oh, it's a short one like that?
Yeah. Those ones that are shorter, I like to knock out in one go. Transistor was about 4 to 5, which you can knock out in one sitting, but you don't really need to. But like Unfinished Swan, I knew was like 2. So I was like, okay,
Unfinished Swan's
clear out some time and beat this really quickly. But it's felt good going back and knocking out a few shorter things recently. Some things that have been hanging over my head. There's a couple other things downloaded on my PlayStation right now, like Valiant Hearts is on there. I've thought of playing that because I've never done that.
I never finished that one.
There's a couple things between that on my Xbox as well that I can't think of right now, where I'm just like, I wanted to play that game for a long time, and it's short enough to where I feel like I can knock it out. But we'll see. I've got some potential reviews coming up, and I don't know if I will be able to. I mean, I'm not gonna play I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how my schedule lines up for the next week. But yeah, I'm gonna probably hop back into Nier at some point, and then also continue with a few other indie games. I don't know. We'll see. I'm just kind of taking it, seeing what feels good right now. I've also got Oxenfree, which I downloaded the other day, which I would like to play.
Too many games, man.
Too many games, but I mean, at least some of these ones I'm talking about are a bit shorter now.
Yeah.
So.
I feel you, man. I know exactly how you're feeling.
I just wanted the satisfaction of beating some games, which is what I've done now. So
it's almost kind of how I felt with Horizon. I was like, I just need to beat you. I need to finish this.
Yeah. So you're going into Wolfenstein, you said.
Hopefully, yeah. I think that's where I'm going. So yeah.
It's a good choice. Do that. Previews came out for Wolfenstein this past week. If you didn't see those, bunch of Wolfenstein news too that I don't think we're going to get into. Mainly some season pass content and post-launch stuff that'll be coming to that game, which all sounds really cool. Wolfenstein 2 looks so good though, dude. I don't know if you watched any of the preview footage, but it looks, I mean, in addition to what I played at E3, it looks so good. I absolutely can't wait for that game. 28th is going to be a bad day. A very bad, good day.
I mean, I'm still going to be on a boat. It's going to be Smash Brothers Brawl launch all over again for me, coming in a day late.
You'll be married. You won't. It probably won't even cross your mind.
That's what everyone tells me. But right now, it's all I can think about.
Yeah, you will. When the time comes, you will not even think about it. If I had to take a wild guess.
But it's fine. Mario.
Yeah, it'll be there when you're done. Mario. I'm excited for Mario. I'm gonna continue to buy digital games on my Switch, though, dude. Like that is how I'm going to keep doing that. Like this past week with Splatoon, the only reason I bought it, because I actually wasn't going to buy it, but they had, and I don't know if I said this in the last episode, I'm sorry if I did, they had a deal on Nintendo eShop cart at Best Buy, where if you bought a $50 one, you got a $10 one for free. And so then after I bought that and then made up the difference with tax, which is like $4 or whatever, it was about the same price if I were to order it off of Amazon or whatever and then paid tax. Because when you pay tax on it, I think it ends up being like around $53 or something like that, right? I think.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
It's $47.99, I think, with your 20% off. But then you got to pay for tax, and it ends up being around like $52, $53. So I paid about $54 for Splatoon. I was like, okay, yeah, sure, I'll do it. If I can get it digitally for about the same price that I could get it physically, then yeah. So I'm just going to keep doing that, man. I'm very committed to not getting any physical games on my Switch other than Zelda, which I will keep in my Switch forever. So it's practically going to be digital because it'll always be in there.
I bought Splatoon physically.
Yeah, I know you did because you needed it cheaper.
I bought it at GameStop. I used trade credit for it.
What'd you trade in?
Old phone.
An old phone for Splatoon?
And Uncharted. I got like $120.
Uncharted?
Mm-hmm.
4?
No, I traded in a phone, and I got Splatoon 2 and Uncharted Lost Legacy.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. I used my $15 credit that I told you about.
Max getting rid of a Naughty Dog game. Yeah. You keep going, Logan.
Well, I didn't know if you had like 2 copies of it or something. Like,
no,
I don't. Like you have like 2 Zelda copies technically, and you could get rid of one of them.
I did.
Oh, you did already?
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say, yeah. But yeah, that's about all I've been into recently.
Well, then let's go to the news then.
Let's do that. Not a lot of news this week, though. So
all Nintendo news.
Yeah, there's pretty much nothing that has happened this week of too much note. The first big thing, big in quotes, I guess, the SNES Classic snafu that happened with Walmart, they all got canceled because pre-orders went too live early.
Dark times.
There's a good chance if you're listening to this, you probably pre-ordered one. It was always obvious to me that something like this was going to happen, whether that either they were going to cancel a lot of them or they were going to cancel all of them, which I think they ended up doing the latter.
All of them.
Am I correct?
All of them are canceled.
Yeah.
It was
because when
fishy.
I learned that they were the only one who ended up going up, and then they also stayed up for 30 to 40 minutes.
30 to 40 minutes is the
down.
one. Yeah.
I mean, to me, I honestly think the fact that other retailers didn't go live alongside them was what was weirdest.
The only reason that didn't cause a red flag for me was because Target did that with the NES Classic. Target went live at like 3 in the morning with the NES Classic.
I remember that.
And they were the only one, and they honored them. But the fact that it took about 30 to 40 minutes for the SNES Classic to go down on just Walmart, I was like, this is odd.
Yeah.
This should have been gone in a minute.
I honestly can't remember if we've talked about this or not on the last episode. I don't think we did because I don't think it had really transpired yet. Our recording dates are all screwy right now. Even though, not really. I guess we recorded last Monday and put it up on Wednesday like normal. But yeah, I always felt like there was something wrong here. I thought it was funny, personally, just because I didn't order one. I don't know, maybe I'm a terrible person, but I was just like, everybody was like, no, losing their minds. I'm like, come on, you knew something was going to happen.
It sucks, but
I
still really want that thing, man.
I think we'll be fine. I do. Like, I am not stressing about this one in any way, shape, or form. And I know that is stupid to say.
It is.
Because it's Nintendo.
Yeah.
But maybe I can say that comfortably because I just don't really care too much.
But Game of the Year, Star Fox 2 is coming out on it.
Like, I don't know. I want Virtual Console more than I want this. Like,
I know.
Trust me, I want to play old games, but I just want to play them on the Switch because I like the Switch a whole bunch, and I would prefer to play them there. This is a cool thing. I'll probably get one because I have some sort of ties to the Super Nintendo, whereas I didn't with the NES Classic. But I still just, like, it's nothing. If I don't get one day one,
you'll never get one.
I won't care. I have a working Super Nintendo right in there.
I do too. Mine's right under my desk.
Already on it. So
no, I do not. I do not have a lot of these games. I only have Super Metroid.
I mean, there's some that I don't have, but even the ones I want to play, like
Star Fox 2.
I mean, I don't think that's going to be a good game, though.
But
that's the thing with that one. It'll come out now, but I don't think it's going to be a good game.
Could be life-changing.
I highly doubt it. It's 20-something years later? I guess 20 years on the dot. I don't know. I can't remember the exact dates when it got canceled. I think it may have been 95, actually, if I'm correct. So
it's old.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm looking forward to it, but I'm not losing sleep. I know some people are still like freaking out about pre-orders. You're probably one of those people.
I did in the beginning when they announced it, because I thought pre-orders, if they were going to go up, would have gone up close to announcement.
Because they went up for every other region, correct? Like
still like Europe and Japan. But after a couple of days, I was like, forget it. I'll see it when I see it. And so I saw the Walmart one, and I got excited.
you would think they would have had to have learned from the NES because they know how fervent and how desperate people are going to be for this. Like, honestly, if they don't come out with enough stock, then there is nothing else to say except Nintendo just hates money.
I do remember
Because
a few days into it after its announcement, someone put up like an opinion/theory articles like, maybe we can't pre-order the SNES Classic because it hasn't passed FCC regulations yet, because most recently the Xbox One X you cannot pre-order because of that. But Microsoft came out and said that. Nintendo obviously is not coming out and saying we can't. It hasn't passed FCC regulations. If that's
they don't
the case.
ever say anything.
And so, that's a possibility, which could explain the glitch on Walmart's end and why they have to cancel them all, because they couldn't legally sell them.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that makes sense in my head. Because you're right. If there is any other reason, they just hate money.
I mean, well, not even the pre-order thing. If they just don't have enough, even after pre-orders and even after the first or second, third week, after the first month, if you still can't find these on the shelf, then that's a problem. Like, these should be on the shelves constantly for like the next 6 months, if you're asking me. And they might sell out within the first week. I get that. But if it comes like late October, early November, and you still can't find one, then Nintendo hates money, because they've had a year to see how people respond to the NES Classic. They've obviously known for quite some time that they were going to pivot and do this next. So they should have been manufacturing the crap out of these things for a very, very, very long time. Like, it's not hard to do either. Like, this has to be such a simple device to create. It's like, oh, hey, how's the Super Nintendo look? Oh, it looks like this. Cool. Can we make it with these dimensions, and can you put this one little board in it that we're just going to throw these 20 games onto? Okay, cool. Done. Like, it has to be such a simple process for them to create and put these things out. So
you would think.
I don't know. If they don't have them on the shelves, then they just hate money. That's my conclusion I'm drawing. Next up, more Nintendo. Metroid Samus Returns Amiibos functionality. I've heard a little bit about this.
I mostly wanted to talk about it just because I've seen some community uproar about the functionality of the Amiibo. Most of them give you a special art gallery if you beat the game, which I don't think is a big deal. It's an Amiibo. It's just mostly cosmetic stuff. But the big kind of one that people are getting a little fussy about is if you use the Metroid Amiibo, the actual like Metroid creature itself, you can unlock a brand new difficulty mode called Fusion, and you get to wear the Fusion suit. And that is Amiibo exclusive. The suit part I get, that's cosmetic. Amiibo have always been cosmetic things. But locking a difficulty behind, you have to buy the double pack, which means a $25, $30 DLC paywall. That's kind of, I get the uproar for that.
I mean, they did this with the Zelda DLC too. Like, Master Mode is locked behind a paywall as well, which is still so strange to me. Like, certain things,
that's true.
I mean, this is getting into DLC weeds, but certain things need to be broad updates for everyone, and others need to be locked behind a paywall.
I think like the Hero's Path. I think everyone should have that.
Yeah,
in Zelda,
exactly.
Where you get to see your journey. That doesn't add anything content-wise to the game. Doesn't expand on your journey or anything like that.
That stuff is weird that they would lock that. Yeah, you're right. The Amiibo should continue to be cosmetic primarily, and all of the other additional upgrades should be given to everyone, like especially a new difficulty like that. It's just weird. Nintendo's getting into a weird gray area with how these things work.
It's interesting. And the other things that they do is, so if you get the new Samus Amiibo, so the one where she's posing on her knee, you get an extra energy tank, which in Metroid, you're supposed to find them, and that's how your health expands and whatnot. If you use the Smash Bros. Samus, you get an extra missile tank. And if you use the Zero Suit Samus, you get another energy tank. So basically, you can start the game off with, 299 health and 5 missiles.
It makes a little bit more. I mean, there's some other games that have done that as well.
I kind of get the uproar of the community.
I'm a bit more okay with, because
it's just, my thing is really the difficulty.
You as the player can decide though if you want that or not.
Oh,
if
and
you
like
have
I
it as
won't
a
scan
game.
it. I'll scan
You
them
know?
when I beat the game because you get like a soundtrack, you get
Yeah.
uh, art galleries, like that stuff's fine. The difficulty thing is really where I think a lot of the issues are, and you know, that's almost. So if you've had to buy the other two Samus Amiibo, that's $13 a pop, so 26 there, plus another 30, $56. That's as much of the game if you buy the special edition. That's $16 more if you buy just the regular version of the game. And that's just to get special bonus content, if that's what you go for. Me, I've always collected Amiibo solely for the cosmetic appeal of them.
That's what I was going to say. Like they've always been statues to me more than they have been in-game
Game toys and
scannable
items.
objects.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I don't purchase them for that first and foremost, and I'm going to guess a lot of people
Don't.
So that's, I mean, I don't know. There are some weird benefits to these ones, though. I agree. But yeah, between the difficulty thing on both this and Breath of the Wild are the two weird ones to me. Like that stuff. I mean, to point to a game that I think did content updates right, Battlefront actually did some really cool content updates to where they would launch new massive content updates alongside the map packs that would release. So not only would, when you turn the game back on, if you were a season pass holder, not only would you get like new maps or whatever, 4, 5, 6 new maps dedicated to like certain areas, whether it be Cloud City or whatever the other ones were that they did, the Death Star. Not only would you get those new maps, but you would get like a whole slew of new weapons to unlock, the whole new Java contract portion of the game. That stuff was made available to everybody else too. So like even if you just had the base game, like you were getting the Java the Hutt contract stuff.
And
I thought that was good because
another Nintendo game that I think has done well with DLC in the past is Splatoon. Splatoon 1 was supported for 2 years with free maps, free guns for everyone. There's no paid DLC in Splatoon, and Splatoon 2 is following in that trait. We've already gotten 3 new weapons just put out over the course of the game being launched, and we're going to get maps for a year and Splatfest for 2 years. And it's so interesting to see Nintendo have 2 completely different strategies for DLC.
Yeah.
It's weird that they seem to be still figuring out how DLC should work.
I don't know if they feel like they can capitalize upon certain games that they feel like people would be more likely to purchase DLC for. Because the other one that comes to my mind is Smash Bros, where they had the weird pricing structure for the 3DS.
It was piecemeal. Yeah, you had to buy it all piecemeal.
That was all really interesting. So I feel like the ones where they feel like they can take advantage of people's wallets a little bit easier,
they do,
because of the notability of the franchise.
I paid for every single one of those DLC characters.
I did as well. Yeah,
on
I
3DS
feel like they
and
can.
Wii U.
Feel like think they can capitalize on the franchises that mean more to people, whereas like something like Splatoon doesn't stand on its own quite a bit enough yet to merit people pouring extra money into the game outside of maybe the initial asking price that they purchased.
Yeah, it's all interesting. ARMS is getting the same free DLC treatment as Splatoon.
Yeah. I really do think it is reliant upon the franchise that they're adding content to more so than.
I remember Mario Kart 8 did it where you could buy either pack individually or do a double pack for a cheaper price.
Yeah. Again, more notable franchise.
Yeah, but I think that was probably been their best strategy.
When they look at post-launch content for any of their games, I'm sure they have a discussion where it's like, okay, how much does this game mean to people, and what are we better off? Are we better off adding this stuff for free as to show like goodwill towards the consumer who purchases the game? That way we can maybe sell extra copies up front and be like, hey, if you purchase the game now, not only will you get everything that's on the disc or whatever, it's not a disc anymore, on the card or on the game now, but you'll get all this extra slew of content for this X amount of time. Like maybe that contributes to people buying ARMS or Splatoon or something like that, because they're like, oh, ARMS, they're at least going to be updating a lot for the next 18 months or something like that.
Yeah.
Whereas, like I said, Zelda, it's like, oh, more Zelda stuff? Yes, I will give you all of the money for more Zelda stuff. Like, people
please do.
It's probably, I mean, they've been smart about it. I don't know. DLC itself is still kind of a weird thing, because you'll have $50 Batman season passes, and then you'll have Halo 5, which is still giving out everything for free, which they have always done, which has worked really well for them, because I think it's helped people to stick around a bit longer. So it's just a game by game.
It's weird. DLC's weird. Should be free for everyone.
I don't know about that. Like, I mean, the story add-on stuff, yeah, I agree. It's the multiplayer stuff where I think it's hard. I really think everybody's starting to trend in the multiplayer space, at least. I think developers and publishers are really starting to realize that there is 10 times more benefits if they give free updates to everyone more rather than map packs and stuff. Like,
because it segregates the community.
Yep, and you've seen Battlefront do that this year. Like they were very upfront, being like, "Hey, we split the community way too bad last time. We are not doing that with Battlefront 2. So if you buy the game, you're getting all kinds of updates. Don't ever worry about not being able to play with your friends." And I think really everybody in the multiplayer space, Overwatch has done that. Out of these free-to-play games, Lawbreakers is coming out later this week. They are doing that as well. Everybody who focuses strictly on multiplayer seems to be very much realizing that if they just have the people purchase the game up front, then if they give them additional content, then they will hold on to the game and not trade it into GameStop or whatever and continue coming back to that ecosystem. But because of that, they have to add in-game purchases, which I know you despise, but they're totally cosmetic most of the time. Actually, all of the games I'm thinking of are cosmetic, and you only have to buy that if you want to. It does not affect Overwatch at all, Max. It's okay. You don't need that special suit. But
I know I don't.
I know you don't. You don't even own the game anymore. You don't get to play that Doomfist.
Who cares about Doomfist?
Let's hit this one story real quick before we talk about Switch more. I just wanted to mention very quickly that A Hat in Time, which is a very cool indie platformer that was kickstarted a few years back, is coming to PS4 and Xbox One later this fall. It was originally only announced to be coming to PC and Mac. The developer Gears for Breakfast announced that it was coming to consoles now, which is cool. Of course, everybody immediately started asking for a Switch version as soon as this happened. We don't have to get too deep into this. Mainly just wanted to say, hey, I've checked this game out. It's really cute and really cool, and it reminded me of Banjo-Kazooie and Mario.
Very Banjo-inspired.
It's a really cool game. If you've never heard about it, you should check it out because I think it's going to be a ton of fun.
You heard it here first. A Logan Moore recommendation for A Hat in Time.
I mean, you got to think of my other recommendations over the past year. What are some other things that I forced us to talk about news-wise sometimes that we didn't need to? Next Machina, which turned out amazing.
Yes.
I don't know. There's a couple things I try to shed some light on every now and then around here that I think more people should be talking about or paying attention to. Let's get to the last story, though. The Nintendo Switch Max, it has sold 4.7 million units since it released back in March, which is, holy smokes, that is really good. They're almost halfway to the
Wii U life.
Within 4 months, they're almost halfway to the Wii
Good.
U's
Good
sales.
for the Switch.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Nintendo has a successful console again. Not Wii successful. Nothing I don't think ever will be Wii successful. But they have a nice system now that people want. People know.
Yeah, it's good to see people actually excited for the hardware.
I was in GameStop the other day, and a guy was like, "Hey, you guys got any Switches?" He looked totally casual. I was just like, and the guy said, "No, we don't."
I went to Target the other day, and I actually saw 4 of them on the shelf, which is the first time I've seen any on the shelf.
About 2 weeks ago, I saw them on the shelf in Target.
So they're starting to pop up a little bit more often. Yeah, I mean, it's cool that everybody is totally hyped about this thing as much as I am. Like I said, part of the reason I bought Splatoon is not because I love Splatoon. It's because I love my Switch, and I just want more games on the Switch.
Yeah.
Like, that is why I'm purchasing games on that. Same with Mario Kart. Like,
you gonna get Sonic on there?
No, I don't know. We'll see.
That's where I want to get it.
I mean, I think it's the good place to play it, but like I said a couple weeks ago, there's still a deep part of me that doesn't want to see a Sega property on a Nintendo piece of hardware, because I guess there's a weird...
It's so funny, too, because I grew up playing Sonic on Nintendo stuff.
Yeah, I know. So, I mean, that'll probably be a pretty good place to play it. We'll see. I've actually played my last few Sonic games on Xbox, so I feel like prone to play it on Xbox One for some reason.
What'd you do? Play the Sonic and the Black Knight game?
No, that was Wii exclusive, I'm pretty sure.
Probably was. The werewolf one? Did you play the werewolf one?
I didn't play the werewolf one. Don't worry. I didn't play Sonic the Hedgehog either on that.
What about the skateboarding game?
Sonic 4.
Sonic Riders.
2. Sonic 4 was on Xbox One, at least at first, if I remember correctly. And I played that there. And I actually like Sonic 4. Thought that was pretty solid.
I like Sonic Riders. I remember playing that game all the time.
Never played that one. Never played any of those what seemed to be bad racing games like Kirby's Air Ride or Sonic Riders. I never got into
Sonic Riders. I was totally into. I mean, look at that. How can you not love it with its glare? It looks so good.
I know what it is, at least. I still remember the cover art for it, at least. Also, to go along with the Switch sales numbers, we got some numbers on the games. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has sold 3.54 million units since its release in April, which means 3/4 of Switch owners own Mario Kart. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild continues to sell. It sold 1.16 million sales this past quarter or whatever.
It's that God tier attach rate.
So it is now owned on 83% of Switch units, which Mario Kart's release, I guess, must have knocked down the 105 or 10% attach rate it had, but 83% is still insane for that game. Nearly 3/4 of all Switch owners own both Zelda and Mario Kart. It's pretty great. ARMS also sold 1.18 million units, and that just came out in June. ARMS sold 1.18 million units in the 2 weeks between its release on June 18th and the end of the quarter, which was June 30th. So that game in 12 days sold that many units, which is crazy, but I think it adds credence to the same thing I said. I'm not buying games on the Switch because I love the game necessarily. I'm buying games because I want a reason to play my Switch, and I think that's probably true for a lot of other people at the same time. Like, ARMS is a big new notable release. You've got this piece of hardware that I think everybody who owns the Switch loves the Switch. And I think people are just looking for reasons to purchase games for it.
And they're also good games, too. I don't think there's been, at least out of Nintendo, like a bad first-party Switch game so far.
Yeah.
That's just kind of where it's at right now.
Oh, I hear that.
I know, the vacuum. It's back.
It's always back. It's always back.
I do. I'm not even kidding. The other day, I was vacuuming my room. And she came home. And she came upstairs, and she's like, "Oh, you're vacuuming." I didn't know what the noise was. I was like, how do you not know what the noise of the vacuum is? It's on every day.
That's pretty funny. Other than that, yeah, I don't know. Nintendo's revenue is up, a 149% increase compared to the same time last year. Long story short.
Didn't they do 80 million net profit in mobile? I think that was a part of it as well.
Let me see. And 3DS sold almost 1 million units this quarter, and 5.85 million units of software, a 31% decrease from last year. So the 3DS is slowly dying.
I mean, the 3DS has been out for a while.
They sold 1.6 million Amiibo figurines and 1.3 million card packs. The 1.3 million card packs is insane because that's still only Animal Crossing. So
no, there's Mario Sports.
Okay, so that at least still kind of crazy though.
Oh, it's crazy, but there's two different card packs.
And then downloadable games across all Nintendo platforms made them $98 million. Nintendo's making money. Like, they are making a good amount of
So they
money.
can pour it all into Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean,
I'm
I don't know. They're on a good pace, dude. I mean,
they're on a really good pace.
This next month,
they've
got a freaking 3D Mario platformer coming out later this year. Like, they're doing really, really well within the first year this thing's released.
Do you know what just popped in my head? We're supposed to get a Pokemon game on this thing.
We are Pokemon Tournament DX.
No, a real one, a real Pokemon RPG. Those card pack numbers. How if there were Pokemon card, because they won't make amiibos for Pokemon, but if they did Pokemon amiibo cards, that'd be insane.
Yeah,
that would just be lighting $100 bills on consumer fire. The vacuum
is here. It's a part of the show now. Are you muted? Did you mute your mic? Max muted his mic. Yeah. Long story short, Nintendo's doing well. The vacuum is vacuuming, and Max is nodding his head in agreement. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess to wrap this up, yeah, it feels so good personally, and I know you're way more on board with Nintendo most of the time than I am. I've been so negative on them for the last 5 or 10 years, and I think rightly so in a lot of ways. But it feels good to have a piece of hardware that I legitimately love, to have games that are continuing to vouch for my time on a week-to-week basis. And like this thing I own 3 games on this, and I am still playing it a lot every week.
It's a really good system.
It's a really good system, and I'm still like there's still holdups that I have with it. Like I don't think it has enough power. I don't think third party is ever really going to be super prominent on it. I think we're not going to get a lot of ports that people end up wanting on this thing because of its lack of power. But they're killing it right now with their own first party stuff, which is making me happy because I mean, if I'm being honest, I do not go to Nintendo platforms to play third party stuff anyway, so I'll play that elsewhere.
I can't wait for Animal Crossing.
That's not even been announced.
But it's coming.
Is it? Have they said Switch Animal Crossing?
I mean, they've said Animal Crossing for mobile is coming out this year, and it ties directly into the next Animal Crossing game.
That could be a ways off. There's been
games
that have been...
but Animal Crossing's not going to come to Wii U. It's not going to come to 3DS again.
Hot take, I don't think the mobile game's coming this year, if I had to take a wild guess. I mean, I guess they could do a quick turnaround on it, but I don't think it is, personally. It's weird that they've been so quiet on it.
Well, they kind of just reveal these things, and then they come out like a week later, so...
That is true. They did a pretty quick 4, 5, 6 week turnaround on Super Mario Run, didn't they?
Yeah, and Fire Emblem was like a week.
Yeah, that's true. So they could always do that. I don't know.
They're going to have a special Animal Crossing Direct, and it's going to make Max happy.
I don't know, dude. I like this thing. I like it a lot. I've also gotten used to the Pro Controller finally on Mario Kart.
Heck yeah,
that feels good.
Now you can be a real boy.
Yeah.
Now you're a real racer.
Good. That Pro Controller is very nice. I've finally gotten used to it after using it for long enough.
It's a nice controller.
And I still like playing with the Joy-Cons as well when I jump back onto handheld. Even though the buttons are a tiny bit small, it still gets the job done very appropriately. I don't know. It works when I need it, when I play it that way. I don't have any grievances with it. So yeah, that's our all Nintendo news slate for the week. Switch is good. Amiibo are bad, and
SNES Classic.
SNES Classic is a thing that you can buy at the end of September, potentially.
Because maybe. Who knows?
We'll have to wait and see. I don't know. It's a good time to be. It's good to see Nintendo have some sort of relevance because they haven't for the last 5 years. Not only for me, but kind of in the grand scheme of things as well. Like, and again, I know you played the Wii U way more than I did. They really have not had an impact on the gaming industry at large for 4 or 5 years. So it's really cool to see them kind of have this resurgence once again, actually take them seriously, because Lord knows I wasn't until this came out. They're still Nintendo and they do dumb Nintendo things, but like Splatoon has, like you said, a lot of problems. But we didn't even bother to talk about the freaking app that they released and the chat stuff, because I think it can go unsaid that thing sucks.
It's a great way to buy gear in Splatoon, though.
It's a great marketplace for your Splatoon character. Just don't use it to talk to your friends. Go use Discord or something.
I do want to try and use the Switch voice app one time.
I don't. You have to keep.
I know.
The thing.
One time.
My phone's battery is so bad at this point that I have to have it in low power mode at all times. And then one of the things about your phone being in low power mode, if you didn't know, I'm sure you do, is that it shuts off way quicker.
Yeah.
Like if you don't touch it, it goes to sleep within like 10 seconds.
Yeah. I want
so quickly for me, and then I can't talk
to do it one time, just one time,
to
see how bad it is.
It's bad.
I know, but just one time, like experience it.
Hold on, someone texted me. Let me open my text app up. I can't talk to you. I mean, they still do so many stupid things, but it is nice to have some legitimate reasons to enjoy and love Nintendo right now. It's been a breath of fresh air.
Wild air? Breath of wild air?
Breath of the wild, fresh air this year.
It's been quite an odyssey.
Yeah, been a good odyssey. Some would call it a kingdom battle.
I mean, that one was a stretch, I think.
Some have even called it a Xenoblade Chronicles 2. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we've got a couple questions and topics we're going to go over this week, and then we will jump out of here. But we'll be back in just a moment, and until then, stay put. Welcome back to the show, everybody. So for the second half of this week, we're going back to topics/questions/random video game musings that Max and myself will talk about. Of course, we have been playing around with the format of this show. We don't do this every week any longer, but it is something that we will come back to occasionally. We just want our topics and questions to be from you, the audience, in the future. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or mainly topics, I guess, send them to us. You can either hit us up on Twitter at MGS Podcast, or please email us at mgspodcast@gmail.com, and we will make sure to hoard your questions up until the next time that we decide to have a segment like this. For today, though, we have a couple questions, but they're not really from the community. I have one thing that we'll bring up here in a minute, but we did get a couple other questions from some quote-unquote community members. These two are coming from both Michael Ruiz and Mario Rivera, who are, of course, fellow citizens of ours over at Model Citizens Media. So we'll get right into it. Michael Ruiz asks, Max, this is for you. He wants to know when you're going to play Doom.
I own Doom. Abby bought it for me. I will play Doom after Wolfenstein for sure. The question is, will it be after Shadow of Mordor or not?
I was gonna. Are you committed to playing Wolfenstein before Doom, or could you be swayed to play Doom first?
No, Wolfenstein first.
Just because the sequel's coming out,
yeah.
Even though you won't purchase the sequel at launch anyway, most likely.
No, and correct me if I'm wrong, Wolfenstein came first.
Yes, it did. It came out in 2014. So you're going back. Both that and Shadow of War were out in 2014. So
yeah, I wanted to do Wolfenstein before Doom. I know they're not the same studio.
I mean, they're published by the
same company. They're not the same studio, but just because of when they came out, I want to do Wolfenstein before I do Doom.
They're both like two of the best shooters.
Can Max play Doom? Yes. Will Max play Doom? Eventually.
Are you going to try to get to it this year, or?
I kind of hope so, because Doom VR is coming.
Yeah, even though that is going to be a very different experience.
Oh yeah, it's going to be completely different, but I kind of want to. And after watching,
do you think you could do both Wolfenstein and Doom before Destiny? Gives you about a month. They're both short. Remember, I beat Doom in a day, so you could beat Wolfenstein in a day as well. I mean, it'd be a long day, but you could.
I wouldn't want to say that for sure, because I do have other things going on in my life, and Uncharted comes out at the end of August.
Yeah, but you'll beat that quick, won't you?
I don't know. It sounds like it's a full, like, Uncharted 1 length game, so 8 to 10 hours.
So
a week right before Destiny.
On the note of Uncharted, real quick aside. You may have seen this past week that there were a lot of previews up about the game. I think I mentioned that at the front of the show. We previewed it at DualShockers, and our guy who
just so you know, I did not watch any videos. I haven't read any previews.
Oh, I haven't either.
Okay, like I decided to treat this one differently than Uncharted 4.
I mean, we're both buying it.
Exactly. You don't have to convince me to buy a Naughty Dog game.
No, I'm not. It's not even convincing. It's more just like something to think about. According to the guy who previewed it over at DualShockers for us, find all of our written stuff at DualShockers.com. Hey, he said that he enjoyed it more than Uncharted 4.
I mean, it's possible because the game's not out yet.
Gameplay-wise, I could see it. I'll say that because they're adding, it looks like all the same gameplay elements from 4. They're bringing back a large open area.
Yeah, like Madagascar.
That was the big thing I think they announced this past week, was that there's going to be an open area to the game. Then there's like the lockpicking stuff. Like they've added a bunch of new gameplay mechanics to the game that look interesting to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. Could be. Gameplay-wise, I honestly wouldn't be shocked if it's
because it would just be refining the Uncharted 4 experience, because what Uncharted 4 did was take elements from The Last of Us, and it made for, I think, me personally, thinks a better gameplay experience for Uncharted, adding some proper stealth stuff in there.
Yeah,
and then
because it is a different character this time as well, and because it is outside of the main saga, I think I don't know this for sure, but I'm going to guess that Naughty Dog has felt some creative liberties to maybe play around with the formula a bit more, because this is an offshoot and they don't feel like they need to adhere to some of the things that they've done within the first 4 games. At the same time, I'm wondering how big and explosive some of the moments are going to be, because in my head, I can't see like Chloe getting dragged behind a truck the same way I can Drake. So I don't know. I'm wondering if the highs will be the same as the original games, but I'm also thinking they may do some unique things that I'm not expecting within.
Yeah, it's really kind of, as when I went to pre-order the game like a week ago, just because I had enough credit at the store, it really kind of dawned on me that a brand new Naughty Dog / Uncharted game is coming out in a month, and I'm not counting the days down. I'm not like bouncing up and down in my seat, soaking up every video and preview. I was tempted this past week because I just kept, you know how in your Twitter feed you just see the same thing over and over and over, and it almost wore me down. I was like, maybe I will watch the video, but I decided to wait because this one's really going to be, I think, a good surprise, because I've only seen the PSX premiere of it, where they opened the show with it, and then didn't they show an E3 demo? They showed an E3 something.
They showed a trailer.
That's what I've seen.
That's what opened the
E3 this year.
I'm fairly certain.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, because they had
that was the band that was playing. And the water was like making the cool designs and stuff like that. Yeah, it was that followed by the trailer.
That's all I know.
Fantastic.
That's all I know about this game. It looks really good,
dude. I agree with you that it's like, it's been on my radar. Like I have known that it's coming out forever, and like I have it circled. I'm scheduling out time to play it. Like that's a game I'll buy and play immediately. Like I won't put that in my backlog. But yeah, it is strange that like a legitimate Uncharted game is coming out, and it's just kind of like, oh, okay, I totally forgot about that, but cool. I guess that's another thing we will get to play in this insane year of games.
I know, it's crazy. I did see a tweet the other day from Bruce Straley saying, because Lost Legacy went gold not long ago, and he was like, I'm so excited to play an Uncharted game that I had nothing to do with.
I'm wondering how that will, if we'll be able to tell. Like, if...
I think
because you're, I mean... Druckmann and Straley are so good at what they do, obviously, and Amy Hennig and everybody who's come through there is phenomenal. But if this game is in line with all of the others that they've made, then it really and the writing is still phenomenal. Just if every element of this game matches up, at least, obviously not 1-to-1. I'm not expecting a Last of Us or something like that, but if it at least is in the same vein as all those others and has like a compelling story and good gameplay, like all that stuff, then it's proof that Naughty Dog is just a monster within their own right, and we're probably giving far too much credit to the standalone people within the studio.
It's easy to give credit because they are the faces of these projects, especially Neil and Bruce after The Last of Us, because The Last of Us was a big kind of interesting leap for them. I remember in the art book for The Last of Us up front, Neil has a letter of when Naughty Dog broke off into 2 teams during the beginning of Uncharted 3's development. And they were like, all right, you guys have to create the next Naughty Dog IP. It's like, what the heck? That's a responsibility.
Neil did the PlayStation Experience conference about Last of Us 2, Part 2, immediately last year at PSX. They've done countless talks. They did the Last of Us One Night Only. Neil was like the narrator or the scene setter for that.
They are the face forward people,
but
They are the faces of the company, which is why it's
no...
so easy to give them credit for everything. But they are not the only ones, and I think Naughty Dog is really great at curating its talent and nurturing it and letting it grow. Neil started as like a game designer. I think he came into the company during Jak 3, if I'm not mistaken.
That's what most studios are, though. Like,
and they've just curated in bringing them up, and that is what Lost Legacy is. It's a smaller team within Naughty Dog that have helped create Uncharted games and were on The Last of Us, and now they're getting to experiment and broaden, adding new gameplay mechanics like the lock picking, and the biggest, according to their tweets, the biggest area Naughty Dog has ever created. That's cool, and they get to flourish and experiment, and I'm sure some of these experiments might trickle their way into The Last of Us Part 2. It's a great studio that just builds on itself and lets talent grow and create new things.
Yeah, and I mean, this Uncharted The Lost Legacy, there is none of those faces tied to it. All of the faces that we are aware of within the company keep pointing to it and saying, hey, pay attention to this, it's going to be awesome, it's going to be awesome. But they're more like, are they even producing it? Like, they've had to have had some hand in it.
I'm
like,
sure.
They will, I'm sure get they'll receive credit when the credits roll by, but they're not.
Oh, sure.
It's not their active daily grinds when they go into.
No, Neil is actually, they're very active right now in mocap for Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah, Last of Us Part 2.
So I think a month ago they brought a pig in to do mocap.
That was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, like they brought a pig in to do it. Like they are in the production state of Last of Us Part 2, full swing, man. They are getting these mocap scenes done. I'm sure the rest of Naughty Dog is building the actual game, which I think, we see the first bit of it at PSX this year.
I hope not. I really don't.
No, again, just like at E3, you and I are on the same page of like, we don't want to see this game now, but I think it's likely to happen there.
Yeah, we'll see.
I mean,
don't know.
We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. The one, speaking of, this is getting off into another tangent quickly, but the one thing that I think has been craziest about the games industry lately is that, talking about faces of projects and things like that, there are so many major faces of like a lot of notable games that are former game journalists, which is insane to me.
Jeremy Dunham.
Greg Casavin over at Supergiant Games was the director of Bastion, Pyre, and Transistor. He used to be editor-in-chief at GameSpot. Brian Intihar is the creative director and the lead on Spider-Man. He used to work at 1UP.
Mitch Dyer.
Jeremy Dunham. Yeah, Mitch Dyer makes more sense just because it's a written thing. But like to see these people come in and be like, hey, I'm the head honcho for this entire game. What's the guy's name for Destiny 2? Luke
Smith.
Luke Smith. He used to work over at was it 1UP as well? I can't remember. He used to work somewhere as well, and now he has been creative lead on Destiny and Destiny 2. Like, it's just insane to see these people who write about it, like, then be like, oh, hey, I
know how
like
to make this better.
I can make a good game too. And like, he knocked it out of the park for the most part. Like, yeah, like you said, Jeremy Dunham too with Rocket League. It's just it's cool to see. I don't know. Is Jeremy's role more of he's not like lead director on the game?
No, he's not. He's definitely a voice within the company and community. I feel like he does.
I feel like he's like lead
deals.
Communication director.
Yeah, like he does communications or deals with something. Like he talks directly with Sony and Microsoft and Nintendo.
Yeah. But yeah, Brian Intihar over at Insomniac, he is tweeting out constantly about the mocap sessions for Spider-Man. He is showing off all kinds of stuff. The dude used to work at 1UP. It's just like, whoa, this is insane that you can rise. Not necessarily that it's a logical step for journalists to go to the game side.
That's secretly what I've been working towards. I want to make the next big game.
There's a handful of other people who have done it. Even Comedy Button. What is his name? Anthony Gallegos. Yeah, he went from journalist to...
If you think about it, even Greg Miller dabbles in it a little bit with voice acting.
Yeah, that's
different. It's different.
Greg talks for a living, so
I know.
It's not a huge shock. But yeah,
he's been a voice in 2 or 3 different games.
Yeah, it's been cool to see though, like all these people with past ties to the written side of things doing so well.
Even Colin Moriarty designed some stuff in the Mega Man Legacy Collection.
He did do that. I'm wondering I never heard how that exactly shook down, but
He did something in it.
he did something. I don't know if he was like a consultant or what.
I guess to go back, yes, I will play Doom.
You will play Doom at some point.
Eventually.
You should.
Uncharted no, I know. Especially after watching the No Clip documentaries before my interview with Danny O'Dwyer. Like, that really, the history of that game and how it came to be, and then hearing you rave about it. Like, I'm very interested in playing Doom now, and I will get to it eventually. But, you know, Wolfenstein will be my next big game. And then Uncharted / Mordor.
I think you'll like Doom more, honestly. That's just my early guess.
Your guess. All right, lock it in. Logan thinks I will like Doom.
Wolfenstein, and that's not disparaging Wolfenstein. I will say Wolfenstein's a bit more straightforward, but Wolfenstein also has the better story and world. Doom has better gameplay, though, and the levels are more fun.
Okay, but we'll see how it shakes out.
They're each amazing. I love them both. Next question, moving right along, is from Mario Raviolis. He says,
that's not his name.
What is a game that released this year that you wish you have time for, and why is your answer Persona 5, you monster? That's a direct response. That's aimed at me because I haven't played Persona 5. Max, we keep making fun of you because we say you never play games, so you may have a lot of options for this one.
I do have a lot of options. The first one that popped in my mind, Resident Evil 7.
That's so short. It's like 12 hours long. Just play it.
It's sitting right there. It's right there on the shelf.
I know. Just play it.
I mean, I've played Persona. Probably would be the other one. About halfway through that game.
Played like 35 hours of that. I mean,
40 hours. About the same amount of time I spent in Horizon, and I've had way more fun in the first half of Persona than I probably did in all of Horizon.
I mean, that's my big one, obviously.
Yeah.
I want to play that game so bad. I just have no idea when. Maybe.
There's no time. You will not. I'm telling you. Because
here's the thing. When
Rabbids is coming out, and I know you're reviewing that. And then September.
There's a couple of things. I mean, this August is insane, dude. We talked about this in 102. August is insane, and we aren't giving it enough credit. All of the indie games we have wanted for so long are August. Like, Matterfall goes quiet for 2 years, then it's like, hey guys, guess what? We're out.
Remember that game we put out a month ago? Well, now we're putting another one out.
Remember how you've all asked for literally 20 years for a Sonic game and the stylings of the old ones? Well, guess what? Coming out in August. Hey, remember when you begged us to bring Undertale to PS4? Well, guess what? It's coming to PS4. Like, it's just one thing after
I'm more excited for the Vita version, but I know what you mean.
I want to have like a full experience with that game, so I want to play it on my PS4.
What do you mean by full experience?
Not that it's like a half experience on Vita. I don't know.
It's perfect on. It's going to be perfect.
It'll be perfect on Vita. It will. But I want to play.
And it'll have cross save.
It will. I also heard it's only like 4 or 5 hours, so I'm just like.
Well, it depends on how addicted you get, because you'll play through probably normal the first time, and then you'll want to go through and do a pacifist run, and then you'll want to go do a killing everyone run.
We'll see. I don't know if it's that kind of game. I don't know anything about it.
So. You don't?
No, not really.
I know like the gist. I hear, and you'll probably like this, I hear the music is incredible.
Yeah, I've heard that it's like one of the best soundtracks of the last 5 or 10 years.
Yeah, which I haven't heard any of the music, so I don't know.
I've heard, like, if you follow Smooth McGroove, he is doing a cover of that. Or for a while, it was like, he's just like, hey guys, I'm really obsessed with Undertale. I'm going to put out like 10 covers of the music from that game.
I love Smooth McGroove.
He did a bunch of those. So yeah, I've heard really good things about the soundtrack. Grant's played the game. He keeps telling me I need to play it, so I will be playing that.
Are you reviewing it for DualShockers?
No, I don't think so. So there's actually like a bunch. Well, the problem is there's a bunch of games that come out on that one day that I wanted to review or have the option to review, but
Sonic,
then that also coincides with a trip I'm having. I'm gone from like the 9th to the 11th or 12th or something like that.
Yeah.
So I won't be home. And
yeah, I know that.
So yeah, so I can't. My review schedule is kind of wacky, but that's some behind.
You're still doing Rabbids though, right?
Yeah, I'll be fine for that.
Okay.
I'm scheduled to review that one. Yeah, I don't know. Here's my thing with Persona. When I finally play it, I want to make sure it has my undivided attention, and I want to just go all in on that.
Yep.
Like that's why I'm looking for a gap of like 3 weeks or something.
You need like a solid month, and you're not gonna get it.
I will.
Not
still
this year.
I still have December circled, dude. I think December is when I can do it. I really do. Because for at least now, on paper, the latest game that I'm thinking that I want to play,
South Park?
Battlefront 2, and that's November 17th.
South Park?
South Park's October, middle of October. October 18th.
I thought it was December.
No, that was last year.
Oh, see?
It's October.
It's okay. But I guess the real question then for you is, have by December 1st, have you beaten Odyssey, Wolfenstein, Assassin's Creed?
Yeah.
You've beaten all three of those in a month.
Wolfenstein, yes.
Wolfenstein's going to be the shortest out of all of them.
Because of the nature of the Switch and how I can take it with me and play around on it, I will probably have Odyssey beat, yes. And plus Odyssey, like, we're all going to be addicted to that game. Assassin's Creed, we'll see. You got to remember that arguably Assassin's Creed is my most anticipated game on that day, which is an insane thing to say. So, yeah, I will be pumping some hours into that one.
But you're juggling.
I'm going to have to focus on graduating, too.
Like, you're going to have your life, 3 different games. I don't think you can beat all 3 of them in a month to give yourself the month of December to wholly focus. Not to mention, Star Wars comes out in the middle of you trying to finish those games in that month. And everything's going to drop when Star Wars comes out for you.
I don't think everything will drop. Star Wars was my gap filler last time. I'll get through the campaign, but I expect that to be like 5 or 6 hours, honestly. If
Mitch Dyer wrote a 30-hour gameplay
30-hour
experience.
epic. Yeah. I don't think the campaign's going to be super long on that one. And then I expect that to just kind of fill my multiplayer gaps for the next 6 months, which is what I expect from that game. We'll see. I don't know.
I wish you the best of luck, for real.
I will beat all 3 of them by the end of the year easily. Plus Crackdown, plus Shadow of War. I will trust me. I will be able to do it. You got to think. Here's the other thing too. I have a way easier schedule this next semester with school. I think I'm going to class once a day. Plus, I will not be working 5 days a week any longer. Like, I can churn these things out quick, potentially.
I do wish you the best of luck.
We'll have to see how it goes.
But I am so many games.
Confident in my abilities. Again, I mentioned it to you before the show. I've beaten 31 games this year, and it's just the start of August.
It's insane.
So I can go pretty quickly. And
Persona 5 is a good
game. Also remember this. I think I beat Horizon in less than a week. Platinum. But like 45 hours into it. I bought it launch day. So I can churn these out quick when I need to. It's just it's been a lot of time in front of the TV.
You're crazy.
Persona's my big one, though. Other than that, Nier Automata was on there, but I'm going to knock that out. Neo's one I would like to get to, but I still haven't gotten to Dark Souls, so I would like to knock out Dark Souls first. And honestly, the one that keeps hanging over my head, even though I have played it, is Mass Effect. I need to play that at some point. I don't know when I will play Andromeda.
You need to finish it.
I will. Like, and I know that is like, I will. Like, that is a game that I will complete and finish because there is like a certain amount of like franchise loyalty from me to that. Whereas some of these other things, I will get to.
I know. I had franchise loyalty to Paper Mario, but
that's different.
That withered away.
That's different. And I've heard good things about Mass Effect once you get like 15 hours in.
Oh, yes. When you spend 15 hours of your life, it gets much better. It's like the TV shows it's like people recommending TV shows going, you got to get through the first 3 seasons before it's good.
It's the same thing with me for like Persona right now. Like the reason I haven't jumped into Persona is because I've heard so many people say like, look, if you just get through like the first 4 hours and get all the tutorial stuff out of the way and all the narrative set up, and then it opens up, then it gets good. And I'm like, I know, because that's how Persona 4 Golden was, but I don't want to do that right now. I just don't. No.
And also, if you start Persona now, you'll stop, and then you'll have to come back, and you'll be like, what was I doing?
That's the thing. I don't want to do that. When I play Persona, I want to play Persona.
Yep, that's the right way to play it. Not like I did, where I played half of it and then just stopped.
Honestly, talk to the nice people for a second. I know there's some more on my shelf I want to go look at real quick.
He's gonna go look. I'm at the pyramid in Persona, and I know, like, I'm in a good spot where I remember everything that's led up to this point. The game has stuck with me pretty well, but I just have to dive back into it. But like I said, I bought Wolfenstein. I bought Mordor. I kind of want to play Batman again. I've been having an itch for Arkham Knight.
Okay, so on my shelf currently I've got Crash Bandicoot, which whatever. I don't really.
Yeah, you do. I do want to play those. I bought that mostly
in between other things.
Yeah, I bought that mostly for Abby.
Yeah.
And because of that, I haven't actually dabbled in it myself. But I do want to. I have a strong nostalgia for the first one. I never played 2 or 3.
Well, that's the thing. I played the first one and it was awful for like the 20 minutes I played it. I'm like, yeah, I'm out. And then I heard a bunch of people say, no, if you're new to the franchise, go to 2 and 3 first. So as strange as it is, I will probably follow that advice and go to 2 and 3 first and then maybe come back to 1. The other things that were on my shelf, really, Mafia 3, which I will probably try at some point.
Oh my god.
Okay, Max lost his power, so we're back. So Mafia 3 is still on my list.
Yeah? That gem that you got for Christmas and said, I'll definitely play this game.
I want to check it out at some point. Whereas me seeing it through is probably unlikely. I still want to check it out at some point. I've got it installed on my PS4. Other than that, like as far as things that have come out this year, I have played a lot. I mean, the other only thing I can really think of that's on my shelf right now would be the 2.8 Kingdom Hearts collection, but I don't feel any like sort of urgency with that. That'll be there when
Kingdom Hearts 3 is getting ready to come out.
Yeah, and I'm not going to push it off that long. I wouldn't be surprised if I go back to Dream Drop Distance like soon-ish. But yeah, I don't feel like any sense of urgency with that. Really, it's only Persona. Persona is the huge one that is just hanging over my head that I want to play so badly, but I have absolutely no idea when that will be. So, I don't know. Is there anything else for you? Because I know you have purchased fewer games this year, and
no, just really Resident Evil 7, I think, is kind of the big one for this year, and finished Persona. Those two.
Is there anything you haven't purchased that you would like to get to? Like, are you interested in something like a Nier in any way at all?
I'm interested in the conversation around it, maybe. I mean, I want to buy Kingdom Hearts 1.5 and 2.5, but that's just me.
Yeah.
I think it's more games later this year I'm looking forward to that I know I'm not going to buy when they come out right away. Like, probably Assassin's Creed or Wolfenstein.
Shadow of War. South Park.
Rabbids. Like, I kind of know what games I'm playing the rest of the year. Like, I know for
Knack
sure.
2.
A gem. A classic of our time. Like, I know I'm getting Uncharted. It's paid off. I know I'm getting Destiny. And then Mario. Like, those are the next 3 games I know for sure. I'm locking in. Like,
the one game I'll mention real quick, I don't know where you stand on it, if you're getting it at launch day or not. Cuphead? You getting that? Will you be picking up that one?
I want that game so bad. Just because it's art style.
That's only $20. It's not too bad, but I guess you will be like 3 or 4 weeks out from getting married. Maybe.
That's end of September, right?
Yeah, like
I will be around that time. In theory, I should be getting ready to pay for an apartment and move into an apartment.
Well, just that's why you got a sugar mama, you know. You married
Abby, the science teacher, the teacher. Yeah,
they make tons of money, don't they?
Loads,
there's so much money.
Bucket loads.
You'll play that at some point, maybe when it goes on sale. You can do what I did with Edith Finch on that one.
Curious what that game has become, though. Is it a boss rush?
I watched a bunch of gameplay. It's not a boss rush. They've added levels. They've shown as much.
But now is it a level game? Is it what does Cuphead become?
There's enough gameplay out there.
There's an interesting story about that game, man.
There's an overworld to it as well, kind of like a Mario 3 type thing or something like that, or a Castle Crashers where you move around. So I've looked up some gameplay about it. Honestly, I think the more I was watching of it the other day, the staler I was thinking the combat looked, but every time I watch it, I can't help but smile just because of that art style, man. So I don't know. We'll see if once that magic wears off, if the game is actually good on its own merits, but I'm still incredibly excited to play. Like, that's one of my most hyped up games this fall, I know for sure. So I don't know. Persona's the big one for me as far as things that are hanging over my head. So that does it for Michael and Mario's questions. I had one for you and me that was prompted because of my replay of Transistor yesterday. And I feel like we've talked about like our personal favorite like studios in the past, but I'm curious what you think, like your favorite indie developer is, or publisher, I guess, because that could include like Devolver Digital or something like that. Because as I was playing Transistor yesterday, like I really love Bastion and I really love Transistor playing it yesterday. Like I really thinking highly of that game, and like I've said at the top of the show, very excited to play Pyre. Supergiant is on my short list of like favorite indie developers at this point, I think. And there would be a couple others I'd put there. I've talked about in the past how much I love Double Fine, and they are technically an indie developer now, even though I think some of my adoration for them comes from their games when they weren't an indie studio, like Psychonauts and Brutal Legend, but they are still definitely on my short list.
Remember Psychonauts 2 is supposed to come out.
That will come out. Yeah, it's slated for 2018 or 19, I think.
Yeah.
If I'm correct. So we'll probably start hearing more about that soon-ish, if I had to guess. Who's on your short list of like favorite indie developers?
First one that popped in my head is Yacht Club.
Yeah.
Shovel Knight and all the expansions afterward, Plague of Shadows and Spectre of Torment, with King Knight's campaign still coming. They're on my short list. Also, That Game Company, specifically for Flower and Journey. That's a really good one. And their new game, they've been teasing it, so we'll kind of see what they do with that. I'm kind of thinking of indie games on my systems. I really liked Campo Santo's debut, which we've talked about on the show before, Firewatch. Yeah. I'm curious to see what they do next. But, they have like one game under the belt. And I mean, Yacht Club technically has one game under the belt, but they've made...
Yeah, they do.
It's almost like 3, but it's weird. It's that game is so interesting. Those are kind of the short ones that are immediately popping on my head. I'm trying to think of other indie... I don't know how much you would consider mobile, like indie games and whatnot, but I love like the Go series on the phones. Hitman Go, Lara Croft Go, Square Montreal.
Is that them? Yeah, they're the developers of that. So, yeah, I mean, see, that's the weird thing with indie things, or indie games now, is things that we would apply the indie name to, they're not really indie. Like, even like That Game Company, like, they are first party, they get published by Sony. So it's like...
Well, actually, their game contract is complete. Their new game...
So that's true.
Their new game, might be multi-platform.
Their new game with the candles and the sharing and
yes,
stuff like
could
that.
be multi-platform.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot out there. I can't remember the exact name of the studio, but whatever Jonathan Blow's studio is, like they are...
with The Witness and, gosh darn it, what's his...
Braid. Yeah. The developer is Thekla Inc. is the name of it.
Sounds like a Jonathan Blow company name.
He is a fascinating dude, and I think The Witness is an awesome game. Probably for me at least, like one of the other ones that stands out to me the most would have to be Playdead, because Inside was my freaking favorite game of the last year. I love that game so much.
Gosh darn it, what's their other game called?
Limbo.
I was like, the black and white game. That's all I could think of.
It's the black and white game, like
with the spiders.
Black and white game. Yeah. So Playdead's on my short list. Playdead, Double Fine, and really Supergiant are right.
Drinkbox.
Oh yeah, Drinkbox with
Guacamelee, Severed.
Guacamelee. Yeah,
love those games.
And then what else is there? They've got something else.
Blobs.
Duh. I just thought of a very obvious one, they're indie. I think we would call them indie, kind of. Again, they are always published by a big first party. Freaking Housemarque.
Yeah, technically they're indie.
I mean, they published Nex Machina themselves. And I think they just have I think they just have agreements with Sony a lot of times, or they just sign on with Sony a lot of times because they like working with Sony. Housemarque, Resogun, Nex Machina, freaking Dead Nation, Alienation, Matterfall is coming out. Like, they're not only do they have
Super Stardust.
Yeah, not only do they have great games, like they have at this point in time, like a large library of games. Additionally, like we mentioned, like Playdead and Yacht Club, like they're both fantastic in their own right, but they are a little bit smaller. Or they don't have as many games out. They're a little bit smaller. I think, yeah, and I mean, I mentioned them, but Devolver is always publishing something great. I know that's not a developer not necessarily. They aren't at all. But the games they publish are quirky and unique.
Did you ever watch the Devolver E3?
I did not. No.
Oh my gosh, this thing's crazy.
I probably should
go back. It's like 20 minutes.
I saw the mention of Dave Lang dying, and I thought that was pretty funny. So yeah, I probably should watch that. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, personally, like Supergiant is on my short list at this point. Like I would buy anything those guys put out, which is funny because I haven't bought Pyre yet. But I think everything they're putting out is great. And we're in a strange, like, I'm wondering how much longer the indie title is going to be relevant, because there are so many studios who are just splitting off and doing their own things. And I don't know, like it's a more interesting conversation, I guess, to have like what constitutes being an indie developer or an indie game at this point in time, because 10 years ago that made a lot more sense, and now the lines are incredibly blurred. Like I don't know, like they're, like I said, a lot of these people are teaming up with first party companies a lot of times to publish their games, and then even a team like Playtonic. Like Playtonic is, I don't want to say big, but like the track record of the guys working there, it's strange to call them like an indie studio, because typically, maybe this is just me, but when I think of indie games, like I think of like no-name people like doing like startups and trying to like
the Stardew Valley thing, or
trying to pull themselves up by their, what's the expression?
Bootstraps.
Pull themselves up by your bootstraps, yeah, and like really, and like putting a game out there, and the game like showing like the game proving their merits, and like then they gain some recognition because of the game itself more so than the people working there. Like Playtonic, like they had a track record already, so people were like, oh yeah, I will donate to this game. So it's weird to me to think of them as an indie studio. Yeah, and then you have people like Psyonix, who are technically indie, but they have like one of the top 5 biggest games on the planet currently. So it's just it's so weird. Like,
remember Mojang was a indie studio for a while.
No, wait, Microsoft bought them. Duh.
Yeah, Microsoft bought them.
Yeah, so it's just I don't know.
Telltale indie?
No, I don't know. No, I mean, Telltale to me is just third party. See, that's the thing. There's like,
I know where
people we still call indie, even though they probably should just be known as a third party entity instead.
Yeah, what indie game studios have contracts with Marvel and DC?
Yeah, so it's, I don't know. We need some new terms in the gaming industry. Let's come up with some.
It's that mid-tier. The last one I'll mention, kind of just a little studio, tiny team, put out just a few games. Naughty Dog, they're okay.
They're not indie. They're definitely not indie.
Super tiny. Not a big team at all.
Nice try to talk about them longer than we already have. Was there anything that you wanted to bring up? Topics or question-wise or anything? Did you come up with anything?
I did not, no. I think we're at a good spot right now.
What a shock, Max. Yeah, we are.
Was a shock. Max not contributing.
Max not playing games to talk about, or Max not coming up with topics to talk about, of course. Before we wrap up here, again, reminder that next week for sure, so next week, we will be doing Play and Report for Sonic 1 and 2.
What?
The originals. Correct? This is more of a question than a statement. Just double checking with you.
Yes, I started playing Sonic 1.
Okay. Then next week, episode 104, will be the triumphant return of Play and Report after like 80 episodes. It took a very long nap, and it's coming back. It's seriously been a very long time. We'll get into that if you are a new listener and you are not familiar with that. We've talked about that the past couple episodes. We'll break that down for you next week when we go back to that. So that'll be our second half of the show next week, is Max and I talking about Sonic the Hedgehog 1 and 2. We decided to do a double feature for the return since we want to have a big blowout return. But that's going to do it for episode 103 this week. Thank you so much for listening. As always, remember that you can find Millennial Gaming Speak and all of our other podcasts over at modelcitizensmedia.com, where you can listen to everything cool we've been talking about there, whether it's dealing with music or other pop culture stuff, or even in the realm of video games. Max interviewed Pierce Schneider, one of the co-founders of IGN, on Behind the Pixel this past week, and that is up on the site right now, so you can go listen to that. Again, you can subscribe to all of our shows on iTunes or Stitcher or Google Play, so
please do go listen to all that stuff. That was a really fun podcast to record, and I know an episode of Reeling in the Years is coming out, or is out by the time you're listening to this.
Yeah, by the time you're listening to this, it'll be out as well, so you can listen to us talk about the year 2000.
I'm really excited to listen to that one. Actually, I want to talk to you about it after this.
So yeah, that'll be going up this week as well, alongside this episode, which you are currently listening to. But yeah, as far as Millennial Gaming Speak goes, remember you can find us on Twitter at MGS Podcast. You can find myself, I am at MoreMan12. You can find Max, he is at Max the White. You can also email us your questions or comments or concerns at mgspodcast@gmail.com. As I said, next time we have a topics or questions segment, we would love some from you out there, the community. So if you're listening to this, please, I know it's easy to just hear a man say this into your ears, but if you could, just shoot us a quick email if you have a question or something you want us specifically to talk about. Trust me, it will be talked about on the podcast next time we do this. So please shoot us any topics or questions that you may have. As I said, you can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and all that good stuff. If you could leave us a review there and all of those good places, that would be awesome. It helps us out a whole bunch. And then you can find the show on YouTube as well, where if you subscribe, we can get a little bit closer to hopefully getting a unique URL at some point. Did we ever put last week's up on YouTube? We might need to do that soon.
I don't think it is, because I don't think I did that.
Okay, we'll make sure to get those up. We need to come up with some intros, slides, and all this stuff too, more so than what we're doing now. We need to play around with our After Effects. We'll all talk about that behind the scenes, though. Make it look a little bit more interesting if you are watching on YouTube.
Random fireworks during the show. Keep your eye out.
Random fireworks, yeah. But I think that's about it for episode 103. As always, thank you so much for listening. We appreciate it. And we will see you back here next week to talk about Sonic, because Sonic is cool.
Gotta go fast. Give me a chili cheese dog.
Gotta go very fast and defeat the Eggman. Until then, I hope you have a fantastic week. We love you. Goodbye.
Farewell.